mark, ensuring your food is produced to the highest standards of traceability and care for the environment.
Morning, Rory.
Hello, Neven. How are you? Welcome on board.
Hello and welcome to my new series, Neven's Irish Food Trails, and welcome on board the Shannon Princess, a beautiful hotel barge that cruises the River Shannon. The barge is based in Lough Ree, and as the lough is right in the centre of Ireland, it's the perfect place from which to explore the country. Today my food trails take me on the barge to Athlone and through the lough to Clonmacnoise. I travel to Clonmel to meet one of the country's most innovative butchers. And then I go to Adair to meet Chef Wade Murphy. And as always, I'll be doing some cooking on board the Shannon Princess. But first, I want you to meet the captain. So Rory, it's lovely to be on board, and I have to say, I've never cruised the Shannon, and I live in Blackline where the Shannon starts. Tell me a little bit about the cruise.
We do a 6-day cruise, and it's just for 10 guests, and we've a crew of 5, so the crew ratio is quite high for the guests. And it's a fully inclusive tour. They step on here in Athlone, or just north of Athlone here in Glasson, and we do the 6 nights down as far as Killaloe. And each day we stop in a nice little harbour, and the afternoons we take our guests on a shore excursion. We have a little bus that comes with us, and we take them off in that. They actually want this type of trip because it's a small, intimate atmosphere. We're visiting villages rather than towns or cities, and it's just a slow pace.
And I know food is a big thing now. Tell me a little bit about that.
People who book this type of hotel barge trip, they are expecting very good quality food. So it's all freshly prepared. They have lunch on board. Twice during the week, they'll have lunches ashore in good restaurants, and then each evening, they'll have a 6-course evening meal. Our guests, when they arrive, they genuinely are so surprised about the quality of food.
And how many years are you going now in the hotel barge?
We're just finished our 21st season. Yeah, so quite a while.
And would it be mainly Americans, or where do they all come from?
Yeah, well, it'd be 90% US guests. The rest would be made up with Australians, Canadians, and some British as well. We're the only people doing it here in Ireland. We compete with about 50 or 60 other boats, and they're mostly in France, on the inland waterways in France, and they're lovely barging experiences. So we are trying to convince Americans to come and have a barging experience in Ireland rather than going to France or wherever. So that's what our competition is.
Well, you have, I suppose, the beautiful scenery, like it's so unspoilt, as you said, isn't it?
The Shannon, it's really a system of lakes interconnected by a river, so it's ever-changing scenery.
So Rory, what's happening now where we are?
Okay, well now we're tied up into the lock chamber, and Timmy the lock keeper, he's just closed the gates behind us.
Okay.
So now basically we're in a basin of water. What Timmy's going to do now in a moment, he's going to open 2 little sluice gates which you can't see, they're under the water, and he'll lift those up, and slowly this lock chamber will start to empty, and hence the boat will start to go down, and we'll meet the level on the other side of those gates. These locks were built back in Victorian times, but great engineering, just fantastic.
Incredible.
So Neven, here we are now at Clonmacnoise. It's founded by St. Ciarán back in the 4th century. On our second day we stop here. Of course, back in the day, this was the main crossroads of Ireland.
Here?
Right here, yeah, because
Wow.
you might see the Esker, which is running all the way
there.
across here, and
Okay.
that used to run from right from the east to the west, and then the river was running north to south. So people were coming up and down on boats, tradesmen, commercial people, and then people would be walking across the country. So this was one of the reasons why Clonmacnoise was founded here. And of course, one of the many reasons why there were so many battles here.
Rogan Josh is a curry traditionally made with lamb, and it's usually lamb shoulder, so you need to cook it low and slow. You can make it with beef. I've also seen recipes with chicken. This one, I'm using some pork shoulder. So I'm going to show you a good tip where we can cook off our meat just in a hot pan separately. We're going to use some rapeseed oil, and then we're going to start our curry. So we're going to work in 2 pans here. Nice drizzle of the oil, and the same for this. This won't take as long as the lamb shoulder, which will take about 2 hours. This will take about 1 hour and 20 minutes or thereabouts. Seal this off on a good hot pan just to get it nice and brown. Now, I don't want to overcrowd the pan. I'm using a nice big non-stick pan for this, and keep the gas full heat. You want to cook this nice and quickly. In the other pan, I'm going to toast off a cinnamon stick and some cloves, just to get the nice aromatic spices going. And then what I'm going to do is start the base for the curry. Start off with the chilli, so you're loosening the seeds. Split it down the middle. Where the real heat of the chili is the membrane. You can take it out like that, shake off the excess seeds, and then just scrape this here. You can use a spoon. Let's turn our meat. Nice bit of colour. I'm not looking to cook the meat, I'm looking just to seal it in. You don't want the meat to stew because you want to keep all the juices in the meat. Tiny little drizzle more oil, and then I'm going to season the meat. Salt, and then some black pepper. Just stir it like this. Back onto the base for the curry. These are 2 onions, which are just sliced. You can use a gadget called a Japanese mandolin, which is excellent. A good tip when you're doing this is to put the lid on it. So as the water that comes out of the oven goes back in, so it keeps the onion really moist. Our chili, I'm just going to cut it into little strips. So that's 1 full chili chopped. Now, let's have a little look at the onions and the pork. Gorgeous. I'm happy with that. Nice and caramelized, so I don't want it to overcook. Let's have a look at the onion. So they're beginning to caramelize a little bit, which is exactly what I want. Add in my chili, stir this through. The pork is switched off, so it's just finishing off there. And then what I'm going to do is crush in the garlic, and I'm going to add in the ginger. So I'm going to put 4 cloves of garlic. So 4 cloves of garlic in there. So there's nice colour from the chili, you have the cinnamon, you have the cloves in there. Great, my ginger. About half of this piece of ginger. Sit the microplane on the top. Watch the fingers. Give it a stir. Onions have a certain amount of natural sugar, so they will caramelise. There's very little oil on that. Going to put in a couple of bay leaves, wonderful in soup and stock. Just kind of break them like that. You're releasing the flavour. Put 3 in there. And then I'm going to talk to you about the spices. I have ground cardamom, we have ground cinnamon and cumin, and we have paprika. And it's a sweet paprika I'm using here because there's chili in it. Scoop this in, bring up the heat, and just coat the onions. This is really important. You start to cook out your spices. Add in just a can of chopped tomatoes, and you just stir this through. So this is the base for our curry. Some stock. This is just some chicken stock I'm using. These are some red lentils. Sprinkle that in. That's actually going to help thicken the curry, so it is, and it's going to give a nice richness to it. And then in goes the meat. Nice big chunks. Just scoop it all in, all that lovely juice, and then just stir this through. So the lid goes on it, you bring it to the boil, and then you let it simmer. And the pork shoulder will take 1 hour and 20 minutes until it's still holding its shape and it's beautifully tender. As the Rogan Josh is cooking, what I've done is I've added in a little bit of natural yogurt. Gives a lovely richness to it, a lovely creaminess, and a lovely kind of tartness to it. This has been on for just over about 1 hour and 20 minutes, and I'm going to put a bit more yogurt in here. Stir that through. That'll give a little creamy taste to it. Switch that off. And I want to pick a little piece of pork. And I just want to bring it over here. I'm going to show you how tender this is. It just falls apart. It's beautiful. I'll just taste it, make sure it's edible. Beautiful. All I'm going to do is serve with this is some rice, which I've just steamed. That's ready. We're going to put in some coriander. Tear this and then just sprinkle it all over the top. Stir that through and then we'll serve up. So it's just literally falling apart. You can just serve this at the centre of the table, let everyone help themselves. The coriander gives a lovely bit of freshness, and then spoon on our rice. There's great smells from this. A little bit of fresh coriander to garnish it. A couple of little leaves. You can see the nice big chunks of pork. It's a very simple but full of flavour dish. And then I have a little bit of cucumber rahita. In this is grated cucumber. There's some mint with a little bit of coriander, a little bit of lemon and some natural yogurt and garlic and more chilli. Spoon this just to the side. The idea behind this is the cooling effect, because this is quite spicy. So I think this is a great dish to serve if you're having a dinner party. You can make it a couple of days ahead. That's my pork Rogan Josh with the rice and the cucumber rahita.
The bordbia quality mark, ensuring your food is produced to the highest standards.